In the year 2187, Earth was no longer the vibrant home it once was. Natural resources were nearly extinct, and humanity clung to life through unstable technologies that drained the planet's final breath. In this dying world, Sky, a young astronaut with a brave spirit and brilliant mind, was chosen for a mission with no return, to explore the unknown in search of a resource that could save Earth from extinction. After years drifting through space, weathering cosmic storms and sleeping in hibernation cycles, Sky finally detected signs of life on a distant planet, bathed in turquoise light and skies of many colors. Her ship's sensors picked up extremely high levels of a rare element, Ilarion, a substance capable of revolutionizing energy production on Earth. But upon landing, Sky didn't find just minerals. She encountered the Jinx, aliens with silver skin, glowing eyes, and an almost ethereal presence. They welcomed her without hostility and offered shelter so she could study Ilarion safely. The Jinx seemed wise, peaceful, guardians of a truth greater than their planet. Among them, one stood out. His name was Jevel. Unlike the others, Jevel showed a sincere curiosity about humans and a kindness that quickly broke through Sky's fear and distrust. That encounter would change not just the mission, but the fate of two entire species. Over the following months, Sky dove into her research on Ilarion, always with Jevel at her side. He knew the planet deeply, guiding her through glowing forests, rivers of liquid crystal, and caves where the minerals shimmered like stars trapped in stone. But something greater than science began to grow between them. With every shared discovery, every quiet moment beneath those colorful skies, Sky and Jevel grew closer. Jevel was not just kind. He was intelligent, funny, and seemed to understand SKY's solitude and courage better than any human could. Against all biological and interstellar laws, they fell in love. Soon, SKY discovered she was pregnant, carrying the first human Jinx hybrid in history. But the news wasn't celebrated. Jevel's parents, powerful Jinx leaders, viewed their union as a threat to the purity of their race. A hybrid heir was intolerable. Secretly, they plotted to eliminate Sky before the child could be born. Jevel, sensing the danger, vowed to protect the woman he loved. But SKY had no idea that he too was hiding dark secrets, and that their love story was about to become a galactic tragedy. Tensions between SKY and Jevel's parents escalated quickly. She began to notice hostile glances, whispered meetings, and signs her life was in danger. One day, while walking through the hanging gardens of the Jinx city, she was ambushed by guards sent by her own in-laws. Pregnant and vulnerable, Sky escaped thanks to an unexpected ally, a young Jinx named Kyle, who opposed his people's radical traditions. He revealed the conspiracy was far larger than she imagined. The Jinx weren't peaceful after all. They planned to use Ilarion to forge powerful weapons and invade Earth, turning humanity into servants. With Kale's help, SKY devised a desperate plan to save her child at any cost. Using experimental teleportation tech, she built a capsule capable of sending her baby straight to Earth. Days later, amid relentless pursuit, Sky gave birth to a boy, Moon. Tears in her eyes, she wrote him a letter explaining the truth and begging that he grow up free, and one day learn where he came from. In a final act of love and sacrifice, she placed him in the capsule and activated the sequence. Moments later, Sky was captured by the Jinx and executed. Back on Earth, no one knew what had happened. To them, her mission was just another lost hope in space, but vengeance had already been born. Rescued by a team of scientists near the United Nations space base, baby Moon grew up on Earth, unaware of his origins. SKY's letter was kept hidden until he was old enough to understand. Raised by a kind adoptive family, Moon quickly stood out. Sharp reflexes, unnatural strength, and extraordinary intelligence. All marks of his alien heritage. At 16, the truth was revealed. One quiet night, his adoptive father handed him the letter. Reading about his mother's forbidden love, the betrayal, and her sacrifice, rage ignited within him. Moon swore that one day he would return to the Jenks planet to claim justice. He trained relentlessly in combat, engineering, galactic languages, and military tactics. By 20, Moon was already considered a prodigy within the Space Force, but he had his own mission. Secretly, he gathered a small army of loyal soldiers, people who had lost loved ones to interstellar conflicts. Together they built a stealth ship, capable of crossing galaxies undetected. Along the way, Moon uncovered disturbing rumors about his father, Jevil. Some claimed he wasn't just a pawn. He was the architect of the plan to dominate Earth. Fueled by grief and fury, Moon launched his journey back to the planet that stole everything from him. The journey took months. Moon, now a hardened warrior, stared silently through the ship's window, watching the stars glide by. Each light reminded him of the promise he made to his mother. Upon arrival, the planet looked as stunning as it was. Dangerous. Crystal forests, radiant seas, floating towers hiding brutal intentions. Using stolen codes and hybrid tech, Moon and his army landed without detection. The first days were spent infiltrating enemy bases. He discovered the Jenks were nearly ready to launch the invasion of Earth. Elarian, the very resource his mother had sought to save the planet, had been transformed into a destructive energy weapon. One night, at a hidden rebel base, Moon stood before his soldiers and declared, "Half this race will fall. The traitors who killed my mother and seek to enslave humanity will know our pain, and Jevil, my own father, will fall by my sword." The war began at dawn. Within 2 days, half the Jenks military was obliterated. But not all Jenks were enemies. Kale, the same rebel who helped Sky, led a peaceful uprising and joined Moon's cause. Then came the ultimate truth. Jevil wasn't dead, and he wasn't just involved in the plan. He was the mastermind. At the heart of the Jenks capital, Moon stormed the central palace. Guards fell before him until he reached the main hall, where Jevil stood waiting, clad in ceremonial armor. Seeing him, Moon's fury exploded. "Traitor! You killed my mother, lead to the humans, and planned their enslavement. I've come to end you." But Jevil didn't fight back immediately. Instead, he gave a cryptic smile. "Moon, my son, you don't understand. Your mother died because she refused the inevitable. The humans can't survive alone. I planned to unite our species by force, to build a new era where only the strong would lead." Moon hesitated. Jevil continued, "I did love her, but her fate was sealed when she rejected the plan. You are the key to completing it. Together, we can rule Earth and Jenks. Accept who you truly are." Silence filled the room. Moon looked into his father's eyes and saw pride, twisted love, and no remorse. "I accept who I am," Moon said firmly, "but I'll never be like you." And with that, the swords clashed. The clash echoed through the palace, a brutal duel between master and heir. Jevil moved like a shadow, precise and deadly. Moon fought with raw, hybrid power fueled by human emotion and alien strength. Each strike shook the floor. Energy sparks split the air. All around them, allies watched. None dared interfere. This was more than a battle. It was a collision of legacies. During the fight, Jevil spoke, "You think I wanted to enslave humanity? They're already slaves, to a dying world, to their weakness. I saw Earth. I saw what they did. Only by fusing our species can we survive. Bleeding, Moon growled. We don't need to destroy to survive. My mother believed in saving both worlds. I fight for her, and for the future you stole from us. Channeling a surge of energy, Moon's blade lit up in brilliant blue. He struck, breaking Jevil's armor. For the first time, the father looked afraid, but then Jevil whispered, "There's something you don't know about your mother." Moon froze. "Speak. What are you hiding about my mother?" Jevil, blood dripping from his lips, smiled darkly. "This KY wasn't just a victim. She knew about my plan from the beginning. She faked her love. She pretended, all to steal Jenks' secrets and bring Ilarion to Earth. When she became pregnant, she saw a new weapon, you. No, she died to save me." Moon shouted, devastated. Jevil activated a hidden hologram, a recording of Sky before her death. "If my son sees this, he must know the truth. I did what was needed so humanity could survive, even if I had to lie to Jevil, even to you." Moon. This was never about love, it was about duty. Moon's world shattered as he staggered in grief. Jevil disarmed him, but didn't strike. Instead, he held out a hand. "Now you know. Join me. End this war. Rule beside me, as your mother intended." Moon stared at the outstretched hand, caught between vengeance, betrayal, and a truth that changed everything. Moon stood still. Everything he believed was in ruins. His mother, his father, both tried to shape his destiny, but he was not a weapon. Not anymore. He picked up his sword and pointed it at Jevil. "I'm not your pawn. I'm not hers either. I'm Moon, and I choose my own future." Power surged through him, not just rage, but clarity. His blade glowed brighter than ever. With a final strike, he threw Jevil against the wall, gravely wounded. Before the finishing blow, Jevil gasped, "If you kill me, Jenks will fall into endless war. If you spare me, we can unite the species and save Earth together." Outside, battles raged. Rebels looked to Moon as their leader. The fate of two worlds depended on one choice: end the tyrant, or trust the enemy, and risk it all. Moon raised his blade, and chose. He lowered the sword. "Killing you won't change the past, but sparing you might change the future. We'll rebuild Jenks and Earth, not as tyrants, but as leaders of peace." Jevil, stunned, collapsed to his knees. For the first time, he cried. With Kale and the Jenks rebels, Moon united both worlds. The weapons were destroyed. Ilarion was used to restore balance to Earth. The Jenks split into peaceful factions, allies to humanity. Months later, in a historic ceremony, Moon stood before both species and declared, "We are not defined by our parents' blood, nor their mistakes. We are defined by our choices. Today I choose peace, so no more children will have to avenge their parents, and no more mothers will have to sacrifice their sons." Jevil, weakened, watched as his son ruled with wisdom. Moon had broken the cycle of hatred. And under the same starry sky where it all began, Moon raised the sword once forged for revenge, now a symbol of unity. The future belonged to him, and to all who dared to choose a path beyond hate.